Have you ever wondered what the difference is between 103 mile an hour club head speed, like you see here of Brian Gay back in 2014, and a 148 mile an hour club head speed that you see of Kyle Berkshire? Let's take a closer look at these because the differences are really pretty interesting. What I'm going to show you, first just look at Brian Gay's stats. This swing I had on the Swing Catalyst is from 2014, which is when these stats are. And he was about dead last in club head speed, 176 on the tour at 103 miles an hour. That's really, really, really slow by modern tour standards. And let's see if we can look at his pressure shift to see if there's something that we can tell what's going on here. Because what you see nowadays with the long drive hitters who are super athletes compared to the guys on the PGA Tour back in the day, 10, 20 years ago, the game is completely shifted to a power game. And we can see what's happening with the pressure shift with Brian Gay's swing. And let's take a look at this. So the first thing you're going to notice, in the last video I talked about how a lot of players will use a little bump to the left or pressure shift to the left to push the foot into the ground to initiate the takeaway. And we can actually see that. I do the same thing in my swing. It really creates a dynamic feeling in the body to get the muscles to load up dynamically rather than trying to mechanically force them up and moving really slow. So you'll see that his pressure, right before he starts to swing with the driver, he actually gets 80%, close to 80% of his weight on his left foot. And if you're looking at this pressure plate, you're not sure how to read this, it's reading it as if you were looking straight down on it. So this is your left foot and this is your right foot. So he pushes into the left, and if we look at the video, you can clearly see that little bump. Now, a lot of times people don't realize this stuff happens because it happens so fast in the swing, but it's so important. So if you don't totally understand this, take a look at the last video I did. I'll put a link in the description. So now as he does that, he uses that ground pushing back against him to rebound into the right leg. And so now you can see by the time he's not even done with his takeaway, he's got 90%, over 90% of his weight onto his trail leg. That's great. You'll see that in all great, powerful ball strikers. But what's interesting from here is that this is where things go off, and I'll explain the next two phases of this swing. So now he's shifting back to the left, which is great, but as he's doing this, he should already be moving much further back to the lead side. So he's what we would call late. And in short hitters, I see this almost without fail. They are very late to get to the lead side. And when we look at Kyle's swing in just a moment, you'll be able to understand that. So now he's kind of hanging back here, and then as he starts, he's only kind of 50-50-ish when the swing is starting back down. And Kyle's, we're definitely not going to see that. And then as he keeps coming down, he's got about 75, 80%, almost quite to 80%. And then this is where all the bad stuff happens. So if you want to hit it short, pay really close attention to this because his hips stall out. So now he has nothing left to hit with, so he goes up. You see that? Watch his belt. Belt in his left leg because he's done rotating. And because he's done rotating, he's got nothing left to hit with his arms, and he's ran out of right arm already. So his right wrist is already starting to release. And so he just kind of lets it flip through. He doesn't actually flip, but just kind of lets it release through impact very, very weakly. There's nothing left to hit with, and he's just pushing straight up off the ground. And we can see that if you look at his vertical force here, you'll see he peaks right about here. It's about normal. But because there's no rotation, there's nothing left to bring the arms down. So if you're hitting it short, you need to realize that there's actually 4 pressure shifts in a proper golf swing. There's the one to the lead foot to start, the rebound to the right, immediately feeling as if you're shifting back to the left, and then actually pushing off that left as you're rotating and shifting back to the right. Now that may sound a little complicated. Let me explain it a little bit more simply with Kyle. I love looking at the long drive guys who are super, super athletes like Kyle, because they exaggerate things that you want to do in your normal swing, and they just make it way easier to see. So we're going to see the Kamala stomp here, and then he's going to go back. So the first step, he's 100% on his lead leg, rebounds to the right, hits the wall with the right. Now he's going to go almost 100%. What was he at? 92% peak when he gets all of his pressure back here. And now he's already starting to shift his pressure back to the lead side. So look, we went from 92%, and as the club's still going back, we're building more pressure onto that lead side. And now if you look at it, look at the difference at the top of his swing. Before the club's already moving back, he's already almost completely planted on that left side. So there's pressure shift number 3. We went left foot start, right foot, back to the left foot. And now all that weight's there, but he's actually rotating. So look at the angle that he's able to maintain compared to Brian's. And you can only maintain this angle through rotation unless you're trying to manipulate something with your arms, which you don't want to do because that's just going to cause you to mistime the release. So as he's rotating, watch his left foot. Now there's zero pressure on that left foot and it's back to the right. That's the 4th pressure shift. And that is a big piece of understanding how to produce real rotational speed, which is so easy to see in the long drive guys. You can see his foot hopping up off the ground, straightening up, his left leg totally straightened up, but look at how much more rotation he has. Now let's compare the two. If we look at just the force plate data, and we'll put Brian's back up here. Now we'll be able to compare them side by side. So now we'll see both same things happening here. So as they go to the top of the swing, let me sync these up real quick. So at impact, notice the difference in pressure. In Kyle's swing at impact, his trail foot's got 95% of the pressure. Like, wait a second, is that hanging back? Well, no, he's not hanging back. He already shifted to the left. Now he's shifting back to the right by pushing off the left. Now we look at Brian's swing where he's much more static, has way less hip rotation. Notice we can see Kyle's right glute here, and you can't see anything on Brian's. He's hardly turned at all. In the last video, I showed you how his pelvis actually just slides laterally. And so there's a difference of a measly, let's see what Brian's swing speed was on this one just to, well, we don't have the launch monitor date on here, but his average was 103. So there's about a 45 mile an hour club difference. And this is why. It's understanding pressure shift, because shifting your pressure creates the dynamics in the swing. And if you don't understand that, I did a video on this 4-step pressure shift that gives you a way to feel this that you can see in all the long drive guys. So, and it's not that you're trying to build a long drive swing, but you need to move like a long drive guy, just way less exaggerated in order to get the club head speed that you need out of your swing. So click the link down in the description and I'll walk you through how to do this 4-step pressure shift and how to create much more rotational speed so that you stop having to flip your arms at the ball or trying to stand up and post up. You're going to start learning how to rotate to create real speed.